We're here with Navy slot backs coach Joe DuPaix. Joe, I want to talk to you a little bit about Maquel Haywood and how he's performed so far. Early on, when he's had the ball in his hands, he's mostly made good plays, positive plays. What can you say about Maquel?
Man, Maquel Haywood is an absolute stud. Love coaching him. It's a privilege to see him every day. He's got a great attitude, great athlete, does everything we ask him to do. We love having the ball in his hands. We love having him block on the perimeter. He's a team guy. He's unselfish, willing to do whatever he needs to for the team. But yeah, we're super excited about Maquel.
So we were wondering or speculating in preseason whether the playmaking ability he showed as a kickoff returner would translate to taking a pitch in the slot. So far, so good. He's had several long runs. First of all, how has he developed since last season?
The biggest thing in his development would be his confidence. Just understanding that he not only is a great athlete, but he can do it at this stage, do it at this level, and against the competition that we play against. And so that's the biggest thing. But athletically, he's got all the tools. He can catch, he can run, he can make plays for us. Mentally, he's picked up a ton of knowledge. He's picked up a lot of wisdom. He loves the game of football. Anytime you have a young man like this that loves football, really cares about what he's doing for his teammates, you're going to have a lot of success with that type of individual, and that's what Maquel is. He's an individual that cares about the team more than himself.
So I know you guys do these gauges where your speed at 10 yards, 20 yards, 30. He seems like a guy with a very quick burst. When you've done those measurements of how fast someone does for the first 10 yards or so, is he up there high on that? I imagine he would.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's one of our fastest kids. We have a lot of fast athletes. He definitely has a burst. He's got top end speed. He's just one of those kids you want to watch play ball. You come out here and you work hard in practice. You spend all the time out here preparing, and then you love just going out on Saturdays and watching these kids go out and perform, doing what they love to do. Just let them go out and play ball, and he's got that burst that you're talking about. He's got the top end speed that we want. He's definitely a playmaker.
So some of his big plays have come in the passing game, which makes sense. If you can catch a long kickoff, you should be able to catch a pass from Tai Lavatai. But have you been at all surprised or pleasantly pleased with how he's done when he's run routes?
I wouldn't say surprised. He's done exactly what we kind of expected him to do, and continues to stay steadfast and consistent with everything that we've asked him to do. And that's another thing that makes a player great, is he can do something continuously day in and day out. And that's what Maquel does. He just brings it every single day. I think that's true for the whole room. The guys in the room, they bring it every single day. And so that attitude, that competitive nature, the love of the game, that just thrives within those guys.
So I'd asked Coach Niemot about Maquel, and he said, some positive things about him with the ball, but then said he also needs to work on becoming a complete slot. Does he still need to work on his blocking in other areas? Or?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Joe Montana, when he's playing in the AFC Championship way back when he had a bunch of Super Bowls, was still working on his three-step drop. So right. Yes, he still has a ton to work at.
Right.
And he's far from where he wants to be. Every day he comes out to try and get better and better. So that's very true with Maquel and every player on our team, honestly.
So another topic I wanted to ask you about, those of us who've been watching this offense a long time, we recall slot backs going out on the perimeter and cut blocking corners and safeties. You can't do that anymore. First and foremost, how long has it been now since the slots have not been able to cut out on the perimeter?
Well, this is the first season.
This is the first
season.
So
this is it. This is the first season, and definitely it's been a learning curve, I think, for both offense and defense. Because obviously their corners can't come in and cut us either. So it kind of goes both ways. But definitely, the game of football, we want to keep it safe. So the evolution is always there to just make things better each year, and we have to adjust, and our guys have adjusted well. We're far from perfect. We have a tremendous amount of work to do in all assets of the game, and that's one of them.
Well, that's what I mean. That was an advantage. Navy slots are usually going to be smaller than the corners or safeties they're required to block. And it used to be they used to have to cut inside and cut a linebacker, which they can't do either. I think that rule came in a few years ago. They couldn't cut going in. But, it's got to be hard for a smaller slot back, a guy who's 5'8", 5'9", whatever he might be, 170 pounds, to get a 6'3", 215-pound safety on the ground, or at least, that's not easy to do.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple instances this season where the slot was not able to execute a block and it blows up the play. How challenging is this new?
It's challenging. I'll be honest with you. It's just like life. Life is challenging, right? living today is challenging. It's a hard deal, but you got to adapt and you got to move forward. And that's how it is out there on the perimeter. We can't cut anymore, but we still have to get the job done, and we'll get the job done and continue to get better at it as we move forward. But it's definitely an adjustment. But just like life, you got to come to work every day, press forward, and become better at what you're trying to accomplish. And in that case, that means fitting up on a corner, on a safety, whoever it might be, getting blocked, execute the block so that we can actually have the long runs by Maquel or any other A-back that has the ball.
Coach, just one for you. Maquel had that nice kickoff return touchdown last year against CC. Have you guys been studying that at all, watching that, heading into the routine this week?
We watch that every week with every opponent that we play, and just like offensively, we're trying to do the best that we can at every special teams and those units. And Maquel is definitely an asset there. He's going to do a great job. Like I said, we love having the ball in his hands, but there's other guys too, that we like having the ball in their hands, whether it be Amin or Daniel or Vince or Kai. The list goes on. And so as the game plan kind of evolves, special teams wise, offensively, those are all things that we definitely look at.
Perfect. Well, we're talking to Maquel Haywood, outstanding slot back for Navy football. Maquel, last year you did the kickoffs. You didn't have that many rotations at slot back until late in the season. This year you're starting. Talk about how much you've developed as a slot back since last season as a complete.
I feel like we've developed a lot. And, just being able to watch the seniors, the people who played last year before me, watching the film, watching them play, critiquing everything they did, and, just taking those mental reps, even though I wasn't in physically. Took a lot of mental reps last year, and then, through fall camp, spring ball and all of that, just being able to develop as much as I could, whether it's blocking or running. And so I feel like coming into this game, it's really just another game. We got to go out there and do what we have to do as a group, as an offense, as a defense, as a whole unit to get the outcome that we want.
So you're an exciting player. Everybody loves when you get the ball in your hands, you've got that burst. I mean, so far this season, on almost every time you've touched the ball, you've made something happen. Kind of talk about that's an innate ability you must have.
God's favor, that's really what it boils down to. The talent, the hard work that we all put in. I feel like we're a lethal group as all A-backs. I feel like when any of us touch the ball, we're bound to make a play. So that's just kind of expectation that we set for ourselves within our room. Just A's make plays. We have to make the play whenever the ball comes, whether it's blocked to perfection or whether it's not blocked as good as it could be. Just being able to make something out of nothing, I feel like that we all have the capability to do.
A couple of your big plays so far this season have been in the passing game. I don't know how much you went out and caught passes in high school, but slot backs here at Navy are expected to go out on pass ring routes and when the ball's thrown their way, make a play. Can you talk about that? Is that something you feel you've improved as a pass catcher?
Yeah, absolutely. Coming from my high school, we ran a wing tee, kind of similar to the triple option. Not really though, but it's run heavy. So I didn't really catch too many passes coming out of high school. But, being able to sneak a pass in there every once in a while. And when we do, 9 times out of 10, it'll be open because, the defense isn't really expecting it. So we talk about hands and eyes, securing the ball first before you even try to run or make a move. That's the number one thing. And so, we come out here, we practice our pass plays and practice our steps, our fundamentals to ultimately make those plays on Saturday.
So let's talk about the story you told me last year after the East Carolina game. East Carolina offered you a scholarship. You were considering East Carolina. It's not too far away from where you live in Raleigh. And then you got injured, and what happened?
They ultimately, threw the towel in on me. They said, "Nah, we don't really want you." To me, that was just God closing the door to open up the door I needed to walk through. And so, I'm where I needed to be. I'm where I need to be, playing football where I need to be. And so I'm glad that it all happened. I'm glad it all panned out that way, but I definitely do have a chip on my shoulder. So.
Was it an ACL injury?
It was, yeah.
Right, did it take you a while to recover?
It did.
Did you miss a high school football season or not?
Yeah, so I've torn both of my ACLs. I tore my first one my freshman year, and I missed my whole freshman year. I tore my second one my senior year. I missed half of my senior year. So I missed out on quite a few football games because of those injuries.
You feel you lost any of your speed, or do you feel through hard work you've regained more speed?
Actually, I feel like I've gained more speed through it just because when you go through an injury like that, it works when you're recovering and rehabbing. They work all the fiber muscles that you necessarily haven't worked as an athlete. And so I feel like that twitch and that speed definitely comes back more than it did originally.
So because of that story you just told, scoring a kickoff return for touchdown against East Carolina meant a lot. How much would you like to go to the house in their own house?
Oh, that would be amazing. I feel like we have a great scheme. for the kickoff return team. And as long as we get it blocked right, I feel like, you know, another one could go to the house, whether that's me or whether that's the other returning back there. So I really like our scheme. I really like what we have going into this game, and I'm excited to see what we can do.
One last thing for me before I turn it over to Phil. Just talking to Coach DuPaix about blocking. Slots at Navy used to be able to block a cut block outside and go to at a corner, go take out his legs, safety same. It's now illegal. How much harder is that for you guys? I mean, if you had to learn a new way to block and you have to execute, it's harder.
Yeah, it's definitely a harder skill to, you know, master, and especially, you know, with the background of Navy football, we were able to cut. The coaches knew how to teach the cutting technique to the T, and so, you know, with this whole new blocking rule, it really changes up our dynamic. It changes the way we run the ball, because, you know, instead of having a guy on the ground, you know, you don't really have to make a move on that guy. You have a guy you're trying to read a block, and so it adds a dynamic to the blocking, and also the running. Right. But, you know, I feel like that we've done a pretty good job. You know, we still can do a lot better on the perimeter in terms of blocking, but I feel like week to week we're getting better, and ultimately we'll just do our jobs.
How special is Saturday going to be for you to be playing in the state of North Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very special. I'm excited to go back. I love North Carolina, the people, the fans, and ECU always brings out a good crowd, so I'm excited to go in there and play Saturday night.
One thing, a message this week from Coach just been how made you kind of enjoy going on the road just because you can focus on football. I know you're only a freshman last year, but what have you learned about traveling on the road, and do you like it?
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy traveling with the team. It gives you a chance, kind of step away from the academy, and just kind of clear your mind and really focus on the task at hand, which is winning. And so, you know, I really like the dynamic that we have. Our schedule is good. And so, you know, just being able to be out there with the guys and ultimately strap it up is a lot of fun to me, and I really enjoy it.